Do you have trouble starting new projects? Well, you're in luck, my friend, because that is my MO. Hello and welcome. This is the beginning of a new series where I go outside of my comfort zone for the thrill of opportunity. Because you never know where you'll find a hidden gem. For those who are new here, I want to give a second hello. My name is Miller Sharp, and my mission is to help you cultivate a successful environment for persistent growth. The only problem with that is that I gotta walk the walk to talk the talk. So in this new video type, we are going to be covering my adventures going outside of my comfort zone, and in today's video, we'll be discussing the adventure of picking up the guitar for the first time in half a year. So that'll be super fun. We're gonna cover the things I learned while doing it, but then at the end of the video, we'll cover the fundamental lessons I learned that I think could be applied broad term for anyone's improvement journey and learning experience, which is super important. So we'll be testing my knowledge, ability, and seeing what happens, hopefully having a good time. But we'll have to find out for ourselves as the video progresses. So without further ado, let the video begin. Okay, as per usual, let's get a little context. So I initially stopped playing on my guitar for the sake of a challenge where I tried to pursue my dream. More on that topic in the video linked above. But I stopped playing my guitar for over 6 months. And the reason that it persisted so long was mainly because with time, my guitar grew overwhelming, which is surprising with how beautiful she is. But it is serious in that if I wasn't going to commit to actually play the instrument, why even start? So yeah, and that persisted for a long time until I started to really think about how much I missed it, and that music fundamentally is freedom. It's an artist's wet dream, and as an artist at heart, that is music to my ears. So when I was writing out the options for my weekly poll for my streams, I decided to add it as an option, and surprise, surprise, the people chose wisely. And it was very fun for me to experience that. My prior knowledge to playing the guitar was really just finger picking stuff and learning 4 different songs, namely Harry Potter, and Pirates of the Caribbean, and Le Festin. Okay. And Clair Obscur from Expedition 33. And yeah, easy enough to guess, those did not stick, and I can no longer play pretty much any of the songs anymore, which is very disheartening, I guess you could say, because, you know, I guess I'm just trash. But I also think that it has something to do with the fact that I know very little about the guitar, other than fingerpicking, of course. I don't know really chord creation that much. I don't know the circle of fifths. I don't know music theory. I don't know how to play scales. All these things, I think, really played into it. So on the one hand, I'm absolute novice, but that means that I have plenty of room to grow. So we had a lot in store. So I was really excited to start the stream and really buckle down on what we could cover, which was ignorant bliss. But regardless, the people chose and we must begin. So for this week's stream topic, I wanted to cover learning scales so that I could mix in some chords along with the finger picking that I would do, or something like that. Not only for building on my fundamentals, but also having a good foundation to eventually grow from. And then ultimately also learning the fretboard. I feel like those are two big things. So I began. Day 1 and 2 involved tracking the major and minor scales for C major and A major. And I think that the hardest part for me was actually trying to build the chords. So instead of building the chords finger by finger, I wanted to slam all my fingers down in the right spots at the right time, every time, which was especially difficult, especially when my fingers were throbbing with pain. I grossly underestimated how much calluses matter when playing the guitar like an idiot. So yeah, I wanted to stop the stream after like 30 minutes. It's pretty disgusting, but I had to persist because wisdom is grown through application and ripens with time. So both days eventually ended and came to a close, and I definitely had noticeable improvement, but I don't think that it was anything to really write home about, but it was still a fun experience. However, day 3 was yet to arrive, and with that came learning the fretboard. So this was definitely the most complex of the days because I wanted to determine the presence of patterns so that I could use them to move from, one note to its lower or higher octave reliably, because that stuff's cool. And joke's on you because I found it. So moving for the guitar, if you are on string 5 or 6, if you want to go from one note to its higher octave, you just have to, I'm just going to use A as an example. You just go up 2 and over 2. And there you go. And for strings 4 down, up to 1, my bad. If it's possible, you go over 3 and up 2. Okay, so that's super cool. And for going down the fretboard, if you're on string 6, you can go up 3 and over 3. So there you go, pretty cool. And for string 5 through 1, if possible, you'll go down 3 and over 2. Oh, my bad. Yeah, there we go. Sorry. Yeah, so, I never said I was an expert, but anyway, that is a summation of what I learned on this journey in terms of musical prowess. I thought that this was super overly complex, and if you think that too, we're birds of a feather. But it works for the most part. I just am bad at actually enunciating over it. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Sadly, I did not walk away from this experience thinking I was a musical genius or I developed my new form confidence as a musician. That was definitely not the case. But I did take away some valuable lessons while trying to actually learn this process. And the first was that never disregard a pattern. Because where you can find a pattern, you find power. And what I mean by that is, if you're able to identify a pattern, you're able to reliably predict what will happen, which means that you can use and allocate your attention elsewhere. If I know how to go from one note to the other, and I can easily find where all the A notes are on the guitar, I can better focus my time towards keeping the tempo right, or the rhythm, or the vibrato. Noticing a pattern gives you opportunity. And you're an idiot if you don't think that this can apply to any sort of situation, whether that be, a game, history, literature, work. Everything is made up of patterns. And if you can identify the pattern, you can do endlessly amounts of other things in place of taking so much care to, solve a problem. It's very, very applicable. And I thought while I was doing this, I was like, hey, this is insane. So that was a super big takeaway for me that I hope to take with me in the future reliably. And the second is that it is no good to go into a situation with expectations. Now, I say that because when you enter into somewhere with expectations, you are bringing with you a red herring to the encounter. You got it packaged up in your bag, ready to go. And that's fine for some experiences, but we're learning here. We're not doing anything else. We're learning. So why would you blind yourself to something that, may not even be the case? I think that it is far more beneficial when in a learning environment to just be curious and in the moment and only focus on the doing and the action. Because when you are engaged in the present moment, you're able to be far more curious and far more observative of what's going on, observant of what's going on. And that is very applicable because you don't end up wasting 15 minutes of your time just in frustrational pause like I was. And I mean, like when I was playing the chords and I couldn't do it the way I wanted to do it in the beginning, I was just like, oh, this is so frustrating. But if I just focused on, hey, let me try it again. Let me do it one more time. Come on, let me do it one more time. You're just focusing on the doing. You're almost obsessive. Think about how much more, that's 15 extra minutes of work and learning, and then I could actually do it, which I think is very applicable. Now, I would say that those two things are pretty freaking applicable to anything, as I said twice, but it's very interesting. And if you have your own experiences working with, trying to notice patterns or trying to go into an environment without expectations, I'd love to hear about your experience in the comments below, because hey, I'm always up for learning and getting new information to be better. And I'd also love to know if you enjoyed the video. If you made it this far, please comment. That would mean the world to me. Communication is key. I love it. But that is going to be it for me today. Again, what we covered stuff about the guitar. If you're watching this about wanting to play guitar, you're probably better than me. But hey, the fretboard moving pattern is pretty cool. And then also, don't ever disregard a pattern and value going into a situation without expectations, because that gives you strength and power to be present in the moment. My friends, I wish you strength and clarity, and also good health. We need all of that we can get. But that's going to be it for me. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. As always, ciao.